Hey everyone, welcome back. In this class we're going to take a look at how we can utilize schema compare for Oracle for comparing the two different copies of a schema from different environments and identify the differences in objects between them and also generate the deployment script in order to synchronize those differences from one environment to another. So let's get started. I'm going to go open up schema compare for Oracle, which is available as a standalone tool here. And first thing we're presented with here is the configuration for a source and a target for your comparison. So what I'm going to do is to compare two schemas from the same Oracle server. So here you specify the connection details to your server, and here at the bottom you specify the actual schemas that you want to compare. You can also compare multiple schemas as part of the same comparison project, but in this case we're just going to stick one for the purpose of this class. So I'd like to compare the widget dev schema to the widget test schema, which represents our testing environment in this case. So once you've specified your source and your target, then you can go ahead and say compare now. Okay, what we're presented here is the list of objects that are different from our source to our target. So our source again is our dev widget schema and the target is our test widget schema. So we're presented with the list of the objects, and as we click on each object, here at the bottom we can actually see the differences in the content of the object going from our source to our target. So as you click on each object, you can actually see the differences for each of those individual objects. So we can see what types of objects are different and which objects are those are specifically. So we can quickly review the differences. And if we're happy with these changes, we can either go ahead and say we actually want to promote all of these differences or changes up to our target environments, or we want to just do a subset of those. So you can then just pick and choose which objects you want to promote to your test environment, for example. For this class, we're going to select all of these objects and use schema compare to generate the deployment script for these differences. So we go to the deployment wizard. And here you're presented with a couple of options. You can either use the tool to deploy using schema compare, or you can just create the deployment script. There might be times when you need to submit the script to a DBA or someone who will be executing those scripts against your target environment. So you could use this option here to simply create the script and save it and either submit it or send it to the folks who are in charge of your deployments, or you can just use the tool to also execute the script against your target. You also have some additional options here, such as creating a snapshot of your target before deployment. This is quite useful for cases where you might want to roll back the deployment to the specific version of the schema prior to your deployment. So the snapshot can help you with that. You can also save a copy of the deployment script, as you can see here. We hit next. So another great thing about the process is that it will let you know if there's any specific issues with regards to the deployment or things that you should be aware of. So in this case, for example, with this widget reference table, we are actually going to reconstruct or we're actually changing a data type of one of the columns. So here it's actually telling us what value it's going to use for that new column with the new data type. So we need to make sure that we're happy with the change that it's making. So that looks good, so I can go ahead and hit next. And if there is any deployment warning, so you can see here one of our tables is going to rebuild. So obviously it will still preserve the data, but it's just letting us know that that's what it's going to do as part of the deployment process, and any other warnings that we should be aware of. You also have a summary of objects that are being modified and what type of modification is being made to those objects. So if you have a big list of objects that are being deployed, it might be easier for you to look at the summary tab here. And finally, the deployment script that is generated by the compare engine to synchronize all of those differences. The great thing about this is that, again, you don't have to worry about putting together handcrafted scripts that you saved as part of your development process, and also have to worry about ordering of those scripts or the changes, because this tool obviously reviews your dependencies, as you can see here at the top, the second step, and it constructs your deployment script by taking those dependencies into consideration, so the ordering is always correct. As we mentioned, from here you can either save your script, or you can actually go ahead and deploy those out to your target environment. There might also be cases where you have a requirement to not only provide a roll forward script, but also generate a rollback script, or create a rollback script. So the good thing is that you can actually do that using schema compare here. So I can simply double click on this arrow at the top in my project. That will switch the direction of the comparison. And when I go to Deployment Wizard, the script that it generates through this process will be my rollback script. So you can see here the columns that we added as part of the roll forward process are now being dropped with the rollback script. So this is pretty handy when it comes to seeing what the reverse process of those changes would look like. And you can also save that script just in case if you need to roll things back in your hiring environments. And as you can see here, same option, you can save your script, or you can go ahead and deploy that if you are already in the process of rolling your changes back. So hopefully you saw how easy it is to use schema compare to compare two different versions of your schema and also generate both the roll forward script and the rollback script for those changes using schema compare. So join us in future videos when we'll be looking at how we can customize some of these options inside schema compare, and what the different source and target options are for setting the comparison. Thanks for watching.